Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Somos Mas, the official podcast of Somos Mas NM, and your source for the latest news and notes on New Mexico United and the New Mexico Runners. My name, of course, is Seth Bidoff. Joining me this week, we have the one and only number one overall pick. I guess. Earl, I have to ask, Earl and the other ladies and gentlemen, what are you the overall number one overall pick for? It's clearly not the NFL draft. Clearly not the WWE draft, because I think both SmackDown, Raw, NXT, and the developmental leagues all passed by you. So,
actually, I don't know what I'm number one overall pick for is. All I know is I should be, and I was passed over. I'm pretty sure I have better talents than Caleb Williams, and that's what I'm gonna die with. I'm gonna die on that hill.
is it because you withdrew yourself last minute from the draft?
That's exactly why. So I built this show to what it is today, and that therefore I'm gonna keep my talents here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm withdrawing my eligibility from the draft just to stay here.
So, Earl, I'm happy to hear you're not taking your talents to Miami or anywhere else for that matter. Although that being said, you just dropped some knowledge on me. You got a project that you're working on. Anything that you're willing to share yet about this upcoming project of yours?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely not hidden. Obviously I invited you, I invited Jacob to like the page. Um Yours truly here is starting a new venture. I'll still be here every Tuesday night at whatever time, 8 o'clock, I guess we do this thing now. But I will also be found every Saturday mornings of WWE Premium Live events. So after the Premium Live event, myself and my friend Miguel will be doing a wrestling based podcast. Due to copyright infringements, I cannot say the name. But if you do go to the chat, you can find the name there. I fucked that one up.
I'm curious, what copyrights are you infringing on if you say the name of your podcast? Are you concerned about saying WWE Backlash this Saturday?
Yeah, that too. No, so there's really no copyright infringement. I am actually super excited for it. It's something that we've been talking about doing for a while. And then my buddy asked, "Hey man, let's do a podcast on wrestling. Let's do it."
Yeah, Dapo. I mean, we're gonna get right into it, and yeah, I think that's the big news of the week. New Mexico United came out and announced that Christian Nava is done for 2024 after re-injuring his ACL. Earl, we'd heard back before the Open Cup that he was available for selection, and then suddenly he wasn't even in the 18. Now, we speculated it might be because of the turf fields. We all know that that is not particularly friendly to knees. We've seen far too many ACL injuries to players of really a whole bunch of different sports due to I want to say the hardness, the lack of give in these turf fields. And for a young guy like Christian, what does this mean for him? What does this mean for him going forward? I mean, obviously he spent a year out rehabbing his knee from the initial tear, and now he's gone again for 2024. I mean, we're certainly seeing players tear both ACLs, at separate times. And to Mugdev's point, I mean, this may be the first time I can think of a player re-injuring the same ACL. I mean, it's got to be a terrible blow for the kid.
Yeah, I definitely can't think of any times I've heard of someone re-injuring the same injury that they were just practically cleared from. It was suspicious because we got the news a few weeks back that he was eligible for the selection. They threw out a big news press for it, a press release. But even with all the hype, he still wasn't in the 18 for the Open Cup, which I assume would have been a good spot to return. get some action, get some minutes in while he could, and then get subbed off late or earlier in the second half to make things better and try to mend up a little bit more. But that wasn't the case. So then we expected to maybe see him in the 18 the next match as a sub, especially given the minutes that United played against Lubbock, and we didn't see that. And then travel to Tampa, we expect to see something out of Nava. Don't see that. So for 3 matches, we're kind of in the blue where Nava's available, but really he's not. And then it doesn't help that there's been a change to the team notes that we get sent out every match day, to where now the injury report's not included. So it's kind of hard to know how long it's been for this, without having those team notes, obviously, or having the injury report. But I mean, it's a tough blow for him. It really is, especially given how set back he was mentally because of his previous injury over it. I can only imagine how he's feeling now. It has to be killing him for sure, and that's no pun intended. I'm not trying to get canceled today. But really, that it has to be just kicking him in the ass because of it. Like, I can only imagine 19-year-old kid suffering an injury, same knee, less than a year apart. I mean, that can't be good.
Yeah, no, I mean, if this is Greg Christian's now, he'll be 21 this year. Yeah, I mean, I want to double check that, make sure that's correct. But I mean, he's still young. I mean, he's still very, very young in the grand scheme of things, and we've certainly seen players come back from ACLs and across a multitude of sports. We've seen players like Joseph Martinez. You see Adrian Peterson, who was an obvious freak of nature to come back from his ACL tear several years ago. But for someone in a sport as dynamic as soccer is, one of the biggest struggles that he's already had is recovering that burst, that ability to change direction. And you had to think that he was already struggling with getting comfortable being back out there and doing what he did before. And now that he's torn it again, I mean, if he does return in 2025, and I do say if, because I think that's a very real possibility at this point, he may never be the same player again.
Yeah, I mean, we saw how Mondo was when he came back from his injury. He had a very seamless recovery from what we know. He came back, and his first year back was tough. I can only imagine how tough it is to come back from a double injury of the same magnitude, to come back to a very tough sport in what soccer is. I mean, you're running 90 minutes a match. I mean, I can only imagine the toll it takes on your knees. And with Nava having some pretty terrible knees, I would not be surprised to see him not return.
Yeah, it'll be, either way, it's going to be a long road back for him. And, certainly we would all hope that Christian's able to recover from this round of the ACL issues. And we would certainly hope that he's able to get back on the pitch. Now, if he is, he'll likely have to adjust his play style. And I imagine, you brought up Armando Moreno, and we even talked about it then. Armando looked very tentative out there the first several matches back. And for Christian and the extended rehab time that he had initially, to now have to go through that again and be looking for a potential 2025 return, it's gotta be hard. And certainly and it's something that it's not like it happened in a game. This is something that happened in most likely in training. Now, we don't know the details, obviously, but having not seen him on the pitch in live action, we just don't know. We don't know if it was if there was contact. We don't know if it was non-contact. I mean, obviously, ACLs, it can easily happen on non-contact injuries. I feel bad for the kid. I feel bad for and I can't say that I feel bad for everything the club has invested in him and basically making him the face of up and coming New Mexico soccer. But and this should in no way be a reflection of the club or its training or its care of players or anything like that. And this is just it's nothing more, in my opinion, nothing more than unlucky. And
the club said it when they put out their news break this morning. They said it that they will continue to support Nava in all his recovery efforts, which is nice because United could have easily said, you know what, double injury, same knee, less than a year, we're out. Mm-hmm. But they didn't do that. They're still invested in Nava. They still have hope that he'll return. I hope he returns. I honestly do. I really hope he returns, but I mean, this is a hard thing, especially as a fan and a journalist. There's some things bigger than soccer. Your personal health is one of those things that are bigger than soccer. So I'm hoping that Nava understands that there are some things that are bigger than soccer. Jesus Christ. So yeah, I'm hoping for that. And I'm wishing Nava a very, very speedy return.
Yeah, it'll be, we'll all be looking forward to 2025 to see what he can do if he's able to return and what can happen then. And, what sort of contribution does he make to New Mexico United at that point? But I have to ask, Earl, what was the more heartbreaking news? Was it the loss of Christian Nava, or was it the 3-0 defeat at the hands of Tampa Bay on Saturday?
I don't know. They're obviously both very, very hurtful. Justin, you're right. The transfer window will be very, very interesting, especially knowing that there's some pretty big name midfielders and strikers out there right now. It'll be very interesting to see what happens. But back to your question on what was more hurtful, I want to say the Nava news, because if we roll the tape back, I was partially right on my prediction. Mm-hmm. The only difference is I had more hope in United.
That is very true. You did. I believe you predicted 3-2 Tampa. Jacob went 3-2 us. Mm-hmm. I went out on limits and 1-0 us. I mean, clearly I was wrong. And I just, I look at this and, I mean, to Justin's point here real quick, we have until September basically to, our transfer window is the entire season. So we have a long time to go out and potentially find another, someone else to come in and fill that spot. And yeah, I said we have a very long time. Now, the only thing is players have to be in, they have to make 5 appearances in order to be eligible for the postseason. So we will certainly be keeping an eye on the transfer window and any incoming player news between now and I think it's like September 15th, somewhere in there. I'll have to, maybe it's even October. I'll double check the dates on that. But yeah, going into Saturday at Tampa Bay, we looked, I felt like we had a shot to go in and put a goal or two past Jordan Farr. But this was very akin to what we saw in Charleston a few weeks ago. Justin, you're thinking, your MLS, FIFA, International, all that kind of stuff. USL transfer season, we don't. There's no roster freeze until late September, early October, so we can sign anybody at any point. We don't necessarily fall under the same rules as the transfer windows for other leagues. So we have a long time to sign some people.
So how about we talk about what went wrong this past weekend?
Well, number one, we had a lot of people sick again. I don't know. I'm assuming it's something that came up, earlier in the week and not just a last minute thing. Um, they even made note of it on the broadcast. We were shorthanded. You look at, and this is one thing that I will say, this is kind of grinding my gears over the course of this season so far, is that we're not getting injury reports in the match notes. Historically, the club has been very good about getting media injury reports early on, but we have not been getting those this year. So we're finding out essentially the same time as everybody else what's going on with injury reports. And to hear that we have a number of players out due to illness, we've got Kalen Ryden out still injured. I mean, number one, we've got again short bench, missing Brucey, missing a couple other key guys who could come in and make a difference in this. But that's number one. Number two, and this right here, why can we not beat a press? It's because Earl, you and I are probably gonna disagree on this, because us playing it out of the back right now is absolute dog shit. We're playing far too laterally. We're playing far too close to goal. We're not fast enough in our decision making. We're not turning and trying to get the ball upfield. And when you're forced into a position where you're trying to play out from the back like this, and while yes, there's a sound tactical decision to play this way, you have to be able to make those decisions and do it quickly and get the ball forward and break those lines. We're not doing that, and we're inviting way too much pressure. And so what you have to do is and yes, you can be successful with this tactic, but you have to break those lines. And right now, we're not doing it. In order to do that, we have to get away from this playing it out of the back mentality for at least a portion of the game, to push the ball forward, even if it results in us losing a 50-50 ball here and there. You've got to break that pressure. You've got to ease it up some. And yes, we've struggled at times in that, but it's never been this bad. We are not in the past. And early, I think you can agree, we tended to play the ball with us facing our own goal. We turned and faced our own goal and played the ball backwards. That's not what we're doing here. We're playing the ball laterally, and we're not turning and getting the ball upfield. And that, to me, is creating a whole bunch of issues, not just in this match, but also Rhode Island and Charleston, and a couple others where we're just not able to break those those presses.
Yeah, so I mean, you said it. I mean, I don't disagree with you. Our playing out of the back is complete dog water. Like, it's not good. But historically speaking, when even from as far back as I can go to think year 3, I think it is. I think it was the first year I started doing this fun. Every time that we open the door for playing out of the back, whether it's turning and facing our goal and playing, or playing it laterally, or just completely trying to hold possession, I guess you could try to call it. Historically, we suck. Our back line, and this is no knock on our back line, because right now I think, as I've said before, our back line is super, super talented if we can get healthy. Our back line is not talented enough to go against the likes of Cal Jennings, who is very pacey, very skilled, and definitely faster than Talon Maples, sorry. So I mean, I've been saying it for what, 3 years now, that our back line play, or playing out of the back, hasn't been good. And that was my message, I guess I was trying to get across on Saturday. Was I've been saying it for 3 years now. Our back line play has never been good. We were decent when Kalen was there because it wasn't lateral play. We would get the ball into the middle and up more, but with Kalen down, we're relying on Talon to make some decisions that he's probably not comfortable making. We're relying on Seymour to play mid center back when he doesn't play center back. He plays defensive mid. He can play center back, but it's obvious backline is not his forte. So trying to play out of the back with Talon Maples, who, don't get me wrong, is super talented as well, but is not comfortable making those forward plays. I'll much rather push it to the side. And then having Will Seymour in there, who has made a couple blunders this season, take all of that and combine it with the fact that we are stretching our back line thin by sending up our two right and left back, bombing up the sides. So essentially you're playing with two center backs. So all you have to do is send in a third attacker, whether it's a midfielder or another striker, and you've already picked apart United's back line. So the whole back line, back and forth, back to Alex, back to Talon, back to whoever's on the right end of it, who's typically Astorga. If he stays back, you're essentially playing with a two-man back line with the likes of Cal Jennings, like we saw this past weekend, who scored a brace in, 17 minutes?
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. I understand that's their mentality of play, is to try to break apart and spread the opposing defense thin. But when you're spreading yourself thin by sending up your backs and leaving your centers in to hold down the entire back end of it, the entire defensive third, you can't do that, especially when you have 9 other guys coming for that ball.
Yeah, so if you watch what they're doing, and I tried to find a good example of it from Saturday, is when Alex has possession of the ball, our two center backs, like you said, the fullbacks are bombing up. Now they're not necessarily, when we're in position, they're not, they're not beyond midfield. We're trying to play out. They are dropping back some, but what's happening is our two center backs are spreading out to the sides of our defensive goal area, and they're sitting so far back, basically in line with the 6, and they're inviting all of that pressure. And it's and again, we're not reacting quick enough, and we're not getting enough movement either from those fullbacks or from that central midfielder, a central defensive midfielder, however you want to put them there, to come up and give passing options. But when you're sitting back where your 6 is, and you're allowing time, and credit to teams like Rhode Island and Charleston and Tampa, who are doing this and reacting well, they're getting up on our guys awfully quick. And when they're doing that, you have to have outlet passes. And Alex is not an outlet pass. Alex is oh shit, we've got pressure, we need to get the ball somewhere else. Now, at that point, what Alex needs to do is Alex needs to get the ball forward. Now, I'm not saying go 100% route one football. As exciting as that can be at times, I don't think it's the right thing, particularly when you don't have the height to do it. But we've got to find a better way. We need to create more movement, and we've talked about it throughout the season already. Movement through the middle of the pitch, whether it's in the attacking half or the defensive half. We need that outlet there from a central mid. We need the fullbacks. We need the center back, and we need to make decisions quicker. And until we can do that, we're going to keep inviting all of this pressure. And we've seen it again here this week, where we're making mistakes. We're making poor passes in the back, and we're putting ourselves in bad positions. And whether or not we're trying to sit back and play on the counter or any of that, whatever. But no matter what you do, you have to make quicker decisions. We're not playing fluid football right now. And it doesn't.
It doesn't look good. It does not look good. Sorry for interrupting. But in reality, I mean, it's hard. Here's the catch-22. United's a really, really, really good team. Really talented, really skilled. We saw it during Open Cup. We saw it during El Paso. We saw it during who the fuck did we play after El Paso?
This.
No, we played El Paso, Open
Yeah.
Cup. Who did we play last week? Not United, not Tampa Bay.
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Yeah.
So we saw it in North Carolina too, where we get down, but we get back. We get back into it. When we're healthy. When we're fighting the bug and we're having to rely on kids like Jay Sice to fill in an 18 spot, I mean, how's that fair for him? I mean, granted, he's getting a lot of valuable time, especially even if he's on the bench, he's still getting valuable time seeing what's going on the pitch, seeing where he can make his move. Where if okay, cool, if I see this guy fall this way, I'm gonna cut up and go. So he's getting that experience there. That's good for him, but it's not fair to him to not be able to properly prepare and properly get adequate minutes that are going to mean something, especially if you're going to be on the 18. I mean, I feel bad for Jace, but kudos to him for making the 18.
So let me ask you real quick.
But,
You said
I mean,
you're not being able to properly prepare. Do you feel like ahead of this match? Now, obviously, we had a 4-game win streak leading up this. Do you feel as if Quill did not have them prepared for this matchup?
no, it's not that. I feel like
Okay.
Quill prepared them as best as he could. But when you're in North Carolina last Saturday. So I'm assuming they flew home Sunday or Monday, probably Monday.
Sunday.
They flew home Sunday. So they get home Sunday. So Monday, they're probably rested. Tuesday, Wednesday, they flew out Thursday. So Friday. So they had maybe 3 days to train. And then with them all being sick, I mean,
I will say I wrote about it in my preview over on 117 before the match that prior to this match, United had already traveled close to 16,000 miles.
Mhm.
And you're gonna throw on a trip to St. Pete and back. Like,
yeah, that's
now,
a
fortunately,
long trip.
the farthest east we have to go after this, I think, is like Memphis. But like, still, this is a lot of miles, a lot of time. And this brings a question too. And I would love to talk to David or Coach about this. And I know in the past they've talked coming home, especially during the COVID season. Time at home is important. This, that, and the other. But why are we flying back and forth across the country? This isn't just COVID where we're around the Southwest. Why are we flying back and forth across the country multiple times in a week? I mean, I think it would have just served us better to just be in North Carolina, have that match, and then go down to St. Pete and have those extra days to train and get ready. And again, yes, being at home is a thing. I get it. But there's something to be said also for the amount of travel. And, to Mugda's point here, on the bright side, that beginning stretch looked like our toughest stretch of the year. I mean, more than likely. Now, to be fair, the Western Conference is looking pretty tough at the top. So, but no, I mean, in terms of travel-wise and time and all that kind of stuff, it was definitely a very hard stretch. But, I mean, Earl, what do you think? I mean, do you think that the club is making the right decision by traveling back and forth as much as they have? You mentioned only maybe 3 days of training this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough call. I mean, I totally understand where they're coming from about coming home to their families. I mean, a lot of these guys have new babies. I mean, look at Kalen. He has a newborn, less than a year old. I mean, you look up and down the roster and there's newlyweds and newborns and newly engaged, and it goes, you name it, and it's there. So I get it what the club is trying to do. I don't blame them. I don't fault them one bit either. But I mean, at some point, and this is nothing towards the club, but at some point you have to pick your battle. I mean, Tampa is one of the toughest teams to play, especially in Al Lang Stadium. That's one game that you want to be fully rested for, knowing that you're not going to have Kalen, knowing you don't have Christian Nava, knowing you're not going to have Brucey or Harry. I mean, you're already stretched thin. I'm assuming you stay. And you make that call, hey, look, we're going to stay a couple days out here. If you want to fly your family out, cool, we'll try to make that happen for you. But, I mean, I don't know. That's a tough one to make. It's a tough one to decipher. And at the end of the day, I don't work for the club. I don't make that kind of call. I know I probably would have made a different call, but in Quill we trust. I trust Quill that he's making the right decisions. We've beat some really good teams. We've came back against some really terrible teams. Justin, you might have a point there that the extra travel could have caused illness or could have led to the illness. I mean, flying back and forth from a very, very humid state in North Carolina back home to where it's dry as shit and windy as hell, to turn around and fly right back to humidity or an even more humid state. I mean, that definitely can take a toll on your body too. I don't fault the team. I really don't. Like I said earlier, I called a 3-2 loss. I expected this, so I'm not hurt. But what went right? Let's talk about what went right.
Nobody got hurt.
That's a plus.
Yeah.
I
mean, honestly, I look at the play on the pitch. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, and North Carolina, we went toe to toe with them. Did we look great? No. But we actually battled in that match and came out with a win. Here, I don't want to say we just rolled over, but we didn't do anything right. Not on the pitch anyway. You look at the subs. Unfortunately, I take that back. We did have one minor injury. We don't have an update on Chris Gloucester as of yet. But you have guys, and we really didn't have any attacking options on the bench. I mean, you could have put Sergio Rivas in there, but at that point, I mean, realistically, Sergio has basically disappeared from the team sheets. But on the pitch, we really didn't do a lot right, in my opinion. I didn't see good. We really struggled throughout this match to try to make anything happen. 10 shots all match, 2 on target. We didn't even really challenge Jordan Farr. I mean, we had one good opportunity. I will say that we did have one good opportunity. However, the problem with this, and they were praising Jordan Farr for his save on the broadcast, it was not a well-placed shot. If you go back and watch the replay, the shot was basically straight down the middle. And Farr was already heading back towards the middle of the goal. Like, yes, it was a good save. Was it a great save? No. It was fine. It wasn't a well-placed shot. I think if we score there, it maybe gives us a little bit of a momentum, get it a goal back, but there really wasn't a lot that went right. I mean, unless I'm just missing something. Was there anything that you picked up on?
So I'm trying not to be too critical. Is my main goal right now. But I'm gonna go off what I wrote on my script because that is what's most honest and what's at heart. So Jacob sent our agenda today, which we're hoping to get taken care of and tackled here. Some of them were like, what went wrong, what went right, blah 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 blah. My first initial reaction to Jacob's what went right question. My answer, and I quote, this is as dumb a question as what's eating Gilbert Grape?
Okay.
Nothing went right, because if anything would have went right, we wouldn't have been looking at 2-0 in the first 17 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Then 3-0, at 59 minutes. My only hope is that this does not leak into Las Vegas.
That's a very good point. I would hate for this momentum for this result and the mindset from this to carry over, especially against a Las Vegas team that is they
Struggling.
got shut out 6-0 this past weekend. Yeah, to be fair, Battery is very, very good. I feel like Battery, even with our loss to Battery, I felt like Battery have played better than what they did against us. And yeah, I really hope that this doesn't carry over. I would like to see it not. And I mean, speaking of Las Vegas, I mean it's another year, and Las Vegas is doing Las Vegas things, and you never really know what's going to happen when you go out to Cashman Field. Vegas are feast or famine right now. They are one of the. It's like I said, they're feast or famine right now. They've lost 3 in a row. Their losses have come against Monterey, Rhode Island, and Battery, obviously, and they picked up weird wins against San Antonio. So I just don't know. And this is a Las Vegas Lights team that has new ownership, that has had to rebuild a lot of their roster from the changes that they've had. And it'll be interesting to see what happens. Go ahead.
Can I pick a fight?
Go for it.
Okay. See, I asked for permission first. Typically, I don't ask Saudi Arabia.
We'll ask. I'll reach out to the PR team of Saudi Arabia.
Okay, good. So our friends over there in the far northeast corner of Rhode Island, he put, I don't know how y'all let Tampa score 3 unanswered goals against you. I might be terrible at looking at these damn things, but correct me if I'm wrong there, Mr. Raisin Anger Podcast. 16th minute, Rhode Island, Albert Dikwa scores. Okay, Rhode Island's winning. 54th minute, Manuel Arteaga. 67th minute, Cal Jennings. 72nd minute, Jordan Daugherty. And 96th minute, Damian Rivera. So, explain to me, Mr. Raisin Anchor Podcast, how did Tampa Bay not score 3 unanswered on you? Or do we not count that because it's actually 4? Asking for a friend.
Well, I mean, that might be a fair point. To let them score 4 unanswered, but yeah, I don't know.
Okay, they answered because it was 4.
There you go.
Okay, just checking. Just make sure we're on the same page. I wasn't trying to start a fight. I was just kidding. We actually do love you. I was actually just curious that. I mean, I didn't want to talk about Tampa Bay anymore. It was a terrible weekend to watch. Obviously, I'm still sitting in my laundry room, so I wasn't drafted to Raw or NFL or SmackDown or NXT, anything like that. So how about we talk about something better?
Sure, we can talk about the fact that Solomon Asante has 0 goals this season. I think that's a great place to start. However,
right.
Las Vegas, they're not. They're clearly not getting.
I was thinking something better.
Something even better.
Yeah.
Okay, do tell.
El Paso.
Oh, I mean, we can certainly jump to that. I mean, I figured we're going to get the preview out of the way and then talk about the rest of the league news. But I mean, we can certainly talk about the fact that El Paso is sitting down in 12th place in the Western Conference. It's still winless, the only winless club in the USL Championship this year.
So before you
their coach?
They fucking need to do it like 2 years ago. I see something brewing in the chat, and I kind of
Okay.
want to address it. So, Mudev, can we play nice with Rhode Island? They actually really are nice people. Because yes, they are in last place, or almost last place. They're 11th, I think. Mudev then asks, "Do Rhode Island fans think they're still guaranteed a playoff spot?" 100%. I stand by that too. I believe I predicted Rhode Island to be second. I still expect that. Even with the Charleston, even with the Louisville, even with Tampa Bay, I still fully expect Raisin Acres or Rhode Island to be second place and home playoff spot. I really do. It's over there on YouTube there, Justin. If you want to hop on YouTube, go find us there. While you're there, go and hit the like, share, and subscribe. I think it's like a little bell button you click or something. I don't know what the kids are doing these days.
There's a bell on YouTube. That is correct.
Yes, Raisin Acre will still be second in the podcast standings, only second to us.
All right. So Earl, your prediction for Rhode Island is that they would finish second in the Eastern Conference.
And I stand by that 100% still.
Okay.
Every dog has a day. Anyways, let's move back into the laughable El Paso.
Yeah, shutout again. This time at FC Tulsa. I don't know. I don't know how to explain what is happening in El Paso other than to say, I have no words. I really don't. It really is, it's fun to see a rival struggle. But
it's great.
Yeah.
So what I put, once again, went off my script that I wrote. El Paso. I mean, you asked the question: at what point do they fire their coach?
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. El Paso is going to be El Paso. They're not going to fire their coach until after the end of the season. But
so why after the season? Because clearly some teams have already taken that step. Why do they have to wait till at the end of the season?
Because El Paso is going to be El Paso. That's why. El Paso went and dropped a boat ton of money on Armando Moreno, who's a rival. And I firmly still stand by my personal prediction that Armando Moreno is still undercover, being employed by United, not paid, but employed. And his secret mission is to sabotage El Paso.
What are we doing? Are we bribing him with Allsup's burritos? Like,
I mean, you got me there too. I would take that. Anyways, El Paso is going to be El Paso. I kind of feel bad for them. But then again, I kind of don't. Because our good friend Jerry, I don't miss you at all. Because when El Paso was doing good, you were everywhere to be found. And you're non-stop, unstoppable, heavy duty. But now that El Paso has been like my golf game, terrible, Jerry's nowhere to be found. It's kind of nice. Also, Phil from USL Podcast, the USL show, was super, super, super high in El Paso this year, where he expected them to finish fourth or third or something like that, way above United, because he had United finishing 15th, I think. We were practically dead to him.
So in League One,
Pretty much, we got relegated in a
Hmm.
non-relegation league. So yeah, so Phil was super high on them, and now look at them. Phil is eating crow over there on podcast saying, in this exact look, fuck my life. Just like that.
we will never get Phil on this show. I think it's a foregone conclusion. We're never going to get him on the show. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, again, I haven't watched a lot of
So
them.
the only way we get Phil on this show is if El Paso turns it around and they start winning and United starts losing, then and only then will he show up.
Hmm. All right, tell you what, Earl. If that happens, I'll leave it to you to try to get Phil on the show.
Deal.
Okay. But yeah, they're not playing well. They're just not. Again, I haven't watched a lot of them. I'm going to be watching some more of them in the upcoming weeks. As we get ready for the return match later on. But they're just. I want to see what changes with them, if anything, because, like you said, they've made an investment down there to try and compete, to try and win the USL Cup, and the early results haven't been there. And you know, that's what I said. Other clubs have already taken the step, such as the Oakland Roots, to fire their head coach. Now, I can't imagine El Paso's management giving uh, giving Brian Clarehout a whole lot more leeway here. I mean, if there is a hot seat in the USL Championship right now when it comes to coaching, you have to think he's on it. Is there someone whose seat is hotter than his?
No.
You don't think so?
I mean, I was thinking Colorado, but they picked up a win.
Yeah. I mean, that might have alleviated the pressure somewhat in Colorado, but you have to think that maybe they're on the brink as well, because you look at the East, yeah, you've got Rhode Island and North Carolina, the two newest sides at the bottom of the table currently. So I can't imagine either of their coaches being on the hot seat.
So Raising Anchor, I need to clarify something real quick. Raising Anchor, More Cowbell is not from New Mexico. He's actually from the great state of Texas. But there's a stop for besides New Mexico. Yeah, he's not even a United fan. He's
Yeah,
an Earl fan. That's it.
yeah. Robert is a San Antonio fan, so he
Yeah, I just want to clarify that way you don't get bad impressions of United fans. And just remember that's San Antonio.
yeah.
So whenever they do go visit, I'm sure they will. Look out for him because Robert's a really good guy. He really is a cool dude.
Not sure where you're. I didn't know where you're going with that, but yeah, you're not wrong. Robert and Harry are fantastic guys, and the San Antonio folks we've had interactions with have all been great. But yeah, I mean, you look at Oakland Roots; they've already parted ways with their coach after their loss at the weekend to Colorado Springs. Now, that to me was kind of surprising. Now, yes, they have been in a bit of a rut to start the season, but Oakland has historically been a club that comes on later in the season. Was this a surprise move for you, Earl, or is this something that you kind of thought might happen?
No, it was definitely a surprise. I don't know what's going on with this war between Rhode Island and Texas. It's like Civil War. No, it was definitely surprising me when I saw it. I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I didn't realize who they played. So then I had to go look at the table and the schedule and I realized, oh, they played fucking Colorado and they lost.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I was still surprised, but at the end of the day, when you lose to the worst team in the league that's not named El Paso, I mean, something has to change there for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just feel like it's a bit premature. Again, they're historically a team that comes on late. I certainly didn't expect to move this early, but if you're, I mean, we're basically a quarter way through the season already, and if you're struggling this much, I mean, I can understand taking a look at it and seeing what's happening, um, and say, is it time to make a move? So it'll be it'll be interesting to see what happens with the interim coach stepping in. They have assistant coach Gavin Glinton. Almost, I want to say Clinton there. Almost Gavin Glinton will be stepping in as the interim head coach while they continue to look for a permanent new gaffer. But it's kind of shocking to see that move there. I think El Paso may be on the verge of making the same move. Uh, but fortunately, we're in a position where we don't have to worry about that. At least not at this point. Now, obviously, should something drastic happen between now and the end of the season, maybe even we have a chance of making a change. But in the meantime, well, there's really nothing else to look forward to other than. Uh, I mean, do we want to talk about Lou City and Charleston? I mean, yeah, they both won 6-0. One beat Hartford, one beat Vegas.
I'll sum it up with one sentence.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Robert. Can you play nice a little bit, please? We like Raising Anchors. They're really good people. He's been on our show too. Anyways, the one sentence I have for Charleston and El Paso, they're on a meteor course for a collision, and I can't wait to fucking see it.
So what do you mean, Charleston and Lou City?
Charleston and Lou City. What did I say?
El Paso.
I don't know why. Charleston and Lou City are on a meteor collision course, and I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I mean they're both just playing really good football right now. That's all it is. I mean, to go anytime you put up, you clean sheet somebody, that's all well and good. But you put up that many goals, you're playing well. You're doing something right. They're coached well, they're playing well, and that's all there is to it. I mean, I don't really want to give them a whole lot more than that. Because we do need to talk about. All right, then, because we need to talk about Las Vegas this weekend. Yeah, so like I said, they brought in Solomon Asante. They're trying to rebuild, new ownership, and they're a team right now. Las Vegas is sitting, like I said, they're feast or famine. 3 wins, 5 losses, no draws, with a -7 goal difference. They've got 3-match losing streak going on after losses to Monterey, Rhode Island, and of course Charleston Battery. Cashman Field is always interesting to play at. I know people complain about our baseball pitch. Now Cashman Field has largely been renovated and turned into a soccer stadium, but they do weird things in El Paso, or not El Paso, Las Vegas, such as water balloon fights and confetti and money drops and wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube men beside the pitch.
Don't forget about the mattresses.
And the mattresses and the pools and the trucks and I don't know what they're gonna do. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna watch their matches, watch a little bit more. I've seen a few highlights of theirs, but as the comment says in the chat, for lights, let them have the ball. The struggle generate on the back. Hey, that sounds familiar. But yeah, I mean, it's if it comes down to the midfield. Can we win the midfield? Can we pin them back? Can we pressure that back line? Can we pressure their keeper? And I think we can, particularly if we're healthy going into the weekend. Now, obviously, we may not have Kalen. We still don't have a time frame on his return, but this is a team that we should be able to go on the road and beat. I mean, I don't know about you, but again, I look at their roster. I look at who they have right now. Obviously, they have Samake. They have Solomon Asante, who's not playing well right now. But I'm just not overly impressed with what this roster has done so far. I'm not overly impressed with what that front office is trying to do. But I mean, this was a team that didn't even have a roster until a handful of weeks before the season even began. So I don't know. I mean, it sounds bad, but control the midfield, and we stand a very good chance of walking away with 3 points. Is there anyone that scares you from this Vegas roster? Anyone that you think we need to be watching for?
So really, no one scared me in a sense of scared, like to hurt us and make us pay. But really, Vegas started out really, really good, like super hot. I think they went 4 straight undefeated, 4 straight wins, not even like a draw. I think it was 4 wins in a row. Um, and then the world ended. They couldn't figure out left foot from right foot, big toe from their thumb. And they just started kicking themselves in their foot and their own foot, not even someone else's foot. But really, the only players I think we would have to look out for would be Noel. He's the team's leading goal scorer with 3. Next is Samake, who has 2. So I don't know when the last time either of them scored, but I do know that they can score. I mean, obviously, we have a ton of players with 1 goal. We have, I think, Hurst with 4. He might be on 3.
Noel scored 2 weeks ago against Rhode Island.
Okay. So, I mean, Noel scored 2 weeks ago. He didn't score last week. Okay. So he's overdue now. But I'm pretty sure Hursty is sitting on 4 or 5 at this point. And then everyone beneath him is either 2 or 1. So there's not really anyone that stands out. Clementa is a tough nut to crack on their D. There's always one in their D that needs to be tough. That can't be cracked. We had that until he got cracked, and then he has been out for about a month now. I mean, so both of them have shown they can score, but not consistently. So I'm gonna go ahead and, for time's sake, go ahead and keep this train rolling. And with our last showing and how bad we looked, with, I believe, a 4-hour flight across the country, an 8-hour road trip to Vegas is a lot nicer than 4-hour flight across the country.
It's like a
You're at
30-minute
least
flight.
kind of in this. Yeah, so if you hop on the flight, then it's 30 minutes. If you take the vans that we have, 8 hours. Regardless of what you decide to do, it's a lot better than jumping 2 different time zones to try to find a hotel and try to find a good training pitch. At least Vegas, we've been there before. We know what's going on. We know where to go. Cashman Field does suck, but we're used to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, with our last showing and how bad we looked, I think we bounce back, and I think we pick up a 2-0 or 2-1 win.
Okay, fair enough. I like your thinking there. I want to see us come out. I want to see us come out with a lot of energy and really put the pressure on Las Vegas early. Like it was said in the chat, like we talked about here, if you pressure their back line enough, they're going to give up goals. They're not going to be able to play out of the back. They're not going to be able to do what they want to do. And like you said, Cashman is not a great facility. It's not. Is it better? It's better than it used to be in terms of playing surface and what they do. I just don't like all the nonsense that they do. But yeah, if we come out with an attitude, we come out angry, we come out, wanting to right the wrong from last week, I definitely see us picking up a win. And I don't trust Las Vegas to be able to score a goal. I don't. I'm going to say 2-0 us on Saturday up at Cashman. Again, this is going to be this is an 8:30 start time, so be aware of that as an 8:30 Mountain Time start for us on Saturday against Las Vegas Lights. So there's our two. They are under new ownership. As far as I know, they may still be doing some. I don't think it's nearly as much because they've got Joey Bats up there as far as the ownership group now. I think that stuff, anything that they are doing is not being as hyped as it was before. but I believe they are still doing some sort of shenanigans. But he has definitely brought a better sense of professionalism to that club. So there is one more topic that we wanted to get into, Earl, and I did want to ask you about this. It wasn't on Jacob's official agenda, but can we just say, fuck MLS? Because if you missed the news, Indy 11, who went through a groundbreaking ceremony for a brand new stadium last year, the mayor of Indianapolis, I believe, came out and publicly stated they are courting MLS to bring an MLS club to Indianapolis. And essentially said that the Indy 11 stadium, there is no deal in place. And this is really, really bad. I feel so bad for Indy 11 supporters. I mean, I just, is this more on MLS trying to push this, or do you think that this manager, or do you think that this mayor came to this decision all on his own?
I think it's a mix of both. Robert, I definitely, I don't know what to say. I'm gonna ignore that comment. I appreciate that, I guess. I think it's a mixture of both. I think the mayor reached out to MLS to gauge some interest. MLS said, "Let's do it." And then they said, "Where can we play?" And I said, "Oh, well, we have a new stadium being built. You guys can play there." And I think that's how the entire conversation went. Pretty sure. Raising Anchor, I don't know what Brickyard Battalion said, so I'm assuming Seth is doing his math and figuring it out.
I'm pulling it up now.
Yeah, but when I saw the news article, I thought, that sucks.
All right, so I've got an article up on Yahoo Sports. Nothing has been decided with regards to MLS expansion incoming Indianapolis. Very concerned over what it could mean for the city's current professional soccer team, Indy 11, and frustration from the team's independent supporter group, the Brickyard Battalion, with the lack of communication from the city and Mayor Joe Hogsett. The Brickyard Battalion was established in 2011. I'm assuming they put out a official statement somewhere. We're perplexed why we've been left out of this conversation. We don't understand. If you stood by our side for the past 13 years and supported all of our efforts to make this thing so integral to our community and invested in it time and time again, why would you go out and not have a conversation with the stakeholders? It leaves a lot of questions. It's very hurtful to our membership, and this is our club. And that's what they said in this interview with with the Indianapolis Star. I'll have to keep looking to see if they put out an official statement. But is there? Okay, I'll have to go and look that up. Like I said, I don't. I'm not as familiar what they put out over there, but
So yeah, so I mean, MLS is making a bunch of splashes in different kinds of waters. I kind of wish they would just drink their own tea and call it a good day, but they're not going to do that.
mm-hmm. Okay, here it is. The
But,
Brickyard Battalion
I mean,
in 2011 to attract the World's Game to Indianapolis, working side by side with the city of Indianapolis. It did so 11 years ago with Indy 11. Among other successes, this includes supporting a trophy-winning men's side and national championship women's team and multiple title-winning academy teams. Since then, it has continued to nurture a brand and atmosphere known to the world over. I don't know about that. We've continued our positive working relationship with the city and the ownership as stewards of our club to forge ahead in the Circle City and abroad. Our crest, colors, and culture are carried in places far and wide, including New Zealand, England, Spain, France, and from sea to shining sea in the United States. We, the BYB, are Indy forever and believe what we have built together should be brought along whatever path is chosen moving forward. We look forward to working with Mayor Hogsett, the city council, the city county council, the generally assembly, Pretty sure that's a typo. Governor Holcomb and Ursula Ozdemir to solidify professional soccer's future within our club. Huh.
Yeah.
I mean, could you imagine if MLS came here and the curse said "fuck United," basically, and said we're going to follow whatever team is actually here, whether or not it's United? Like, I do not like this statement from Brickyard Battalion. I think this is a major cop out to say they're going to move forward with whatever path is chosen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. I really don't.
Unreal. I have never heard of a supporters group doing that.
Yeah, they essentially backed out of Indy 11 and said, fuck it, whatever happens, happens.
Jeez. Yeah, that's bad. I would love to talk to Carlos and maybe some of the other supporters groups and get their view on this, because I cannot imagine any of them being okay with it. Yeah, San Diego didn't lay down, that's for sure. Columbus Crew didn't lay down when they were fighting to keep their club. But for Brickyard Battalion to, this is essentially them rolling over. That's awful. That is really awful. So, I mean, I would hate to see Indy 11 go. I know they're not, a club that we particularly see a lot of, but there is professional soccer in Indy. And MLS is just further cementing the fact that they are a monopoly and they do not care one bit about U.S. soccer. That's all there is. That's awful. Yeah. That is just awful.
But anyways, I'm gonna go and get us out of here. We're 10 minutes past due. I don't know how Jacob does this, so I'm gonna try to do it better than he does. Justin, Robert, Raise an Anchor. I don't know who's running your YouTube tonight, if it's Mike or Matt or whoever it is. Christina, Mudef, everyone else that I probably missed. I'm scrolling up pretty quick. Jane, I didn't see your comment come in until just now. But Jane, welcome and goodbye, by the way. For everyone else that was on and listening, and if you're listening on podcast later on this week, thank you. We appreciate you guys. If you guys didn't hear it in the morning or hear it earlier, there will be a new podcast with my face on there. For wrestling podcast, that will be Saturday. We'll be doing our first episode Saturday at 1 p.m. on our Facebook page. The link is in the chat. For everyone else, if you don't watch wrestling, that's fine. I get it. If you don't watch soccer, but you're here, thanks. Appreciate you guys being here. For Seth, myself, and for the absent Jacob, we appreciate you guys. Until next week, Tuesday, 8 p.m. Somos Unidos.